and welcome back to my YouTube channel. You may be shocked to hear, but right now as we speak, I am using my emergency funds. My husband and I moved for a job offer to a new city and throw in a series of unfortunate events that no one could see coming. That job offer is no longer available. So, new city, higher cost of living, and no income. This, unfortunately, is the recipe for needing to dip into emergency funds, which is what we're doing right now. A year ago, this honestly would have been one of my biggest nightmares, but now it's just an unpleasant circumstance that we are prepared to work through together. Getting to this point was not easy, but it's also not impossible despite the lack of personal finance in our education system. I think you can learn a lot of useful information by learning from someone else's situation, in this case me, so please keep watching. Also, give this video a like and comment below if you've had to use your emergency fund and what it was like for you. And if you're someone who might not have an emergency fund right now, how much are you looking to save up for it? My name's KT and this is Simple Living with KT, the place where we talk about the issues facing our lives in a simple and mindful way. Getting to the point of needing to use an emergency fund is always a bit nerve-wracking. And I feel very fortunate to have an emergency fund when I need it. I was reading an article, and forgive me because I could not find it again, so I'm not able to link it. So I'm just going to share a general concept that I got from this article. They did a study where they asked average households if they would be able to come up with $2,000 if they had 30 days to come up with that money. Many of the respondents could not see a way that they would be able to do that. Of course, emergency fund is something that you'd be able to tap into in those circumstances. I think it's interesting that they phrased the question a little bit differently. Not just do they have access to this money, but would they be able to come up with it outside of using a credit card or getting into some other type of debt. And when it comes to $2,000, that could be a deductible on car insurance or health insurance. That could be an uninsured trip to the emergency room, or it could just be the ambulance ride to go from an emergency site to the hospital. When I see studies like this and put that together with the information that many Americans cannot come with $400 for an emergency, then it just really starts to hammer home the idea that the people that we're passing on the street while we're driving down the highway, or the people right next to us on our way to work, and just probably people that we're sitting down at dinner with every day at family holidays and friends going out, there's a good chance that a good portion of those people are not able to come up with that money for an emergency, or do not have any type of emergency funds or investment that they can turn into cash so that they can use. In short, it's a widespread issue. And while so many people are facing such similar situations, I find it unsettling, or perhaps just a shame really, that more people aren't talking about it and just putting up a facade. Whether you have an emergency fund or not, this here is a judgment-free zone. Let's just all agree that it's important to have one. Back to the situation I'm in now. When we got the news, it was the Friday before my husband was supposed to start work. And he told me the news before I had even gotten out of bed and was oddly chill about this new situation that we were about to work through. The first thing we did was have an unscheduled budget committee meeting so that we could take stock of our money situation. I have a habit of budgeting 1 month ahead, which always gives a little bit of wiggle room to our budget. So let's say we're in June, already for July, I already have money set aside to pay for all of July's expenses. That is insurance, that's gas, that's electricity, that's all of the utilities and rent, just so that we know that if something happened, we'd at least be able to cover the next month of expenses from what we received from this month. But of course, we also do have a emergency fund in case that breathing room that we need is longer than that 1 month ahead. At this time, we have no student loans to account for and no revolving debt on a credit card. And thankfully, our car is fully bought out and paid for, so no car loans for that as well. I will always be forever thankful that we were able to buckle down and pay off over $53,000 of our debt. And because of that, our emergency fund is able to go a little bit farther than if we still had some debts that were still, knocking on our door every single month. That's also why I believe my husband was able to take the news so chill like. One, of course, being frantic doesn't help anything, but two, when you kind of feel more prepared for an unfortunate situation, you can kind of move through it with a little bit more assuredness and grace. And that's what we were looking for when we paid off those debts. Sure, it's about having money left over at the end of the month, but it's also about the freedom to use that money however we see fit. Or the freedom to quit a job because it's not where we wanted to be, or the freedom to move to a different city to be closer to family when the right job opportunity presented itself. We took those freedoms and now we're in this situation, and now we're also able and prepared to move through this situation. After taking stock of our money situation, we found that we'd be able to handle our expenses for about 3 months. My husband also had a very spiffy 1989 Mustang that he's been trying to sell, and lo and behold, it finally sold. With that took our emergency savings and us being able to float ourselves for about 5 months. And the next thing we did was make adjustments to our lifestyle. The key thing here for me is balance. I'm not signing up for any extraneous subscriptions or joining a gym so I can access the sauna. But we definitely still include fun money every month, and we also include things like a trip to the barber shop. When we were in the process of paying off our debts, honestly, we didn't have much wiggle room to take risks or to try something new because we certainly did not have 5 months of expenses saved up, and also considering that we had debt payments that we needed to make every single month, there would just not have been as much wiggle room as there is now, because without those debt payments, we have access to basically all of that cash. So things like changing jobs, moving, anything that would possibly create inconsistency in our income were not completely off the table, but they were weighted very differently than they are now because it was 2 different situations. After taking stock of our money situation and evaluating our spending habits for the upcoming future, we then could move on to that next part, which is actually moving forward to changing the situation and applying to jobs. I'm not going to go into detail about the jobs that we're applying to or anything because I don't think that would be of much value to you. But what I will share with you is the value in having an emergency fund when you're looking for a job. It is absolutely priceless that my husband does not have to rush into the first job that gives him an offer or apply to jobs that would probably accept him with all of his experience and pay significantly less, because we have the time to navigate different job offers. He's a mechanical engineer, and something that I have learned being married to him is that 2 companies relatively the same size, looking for at least 2 years of experience, these 2 seemingly similar jobs can offer a very different salary of sometimes $20,000 to $30,000 difference. I could go off on that little detail alone, but let me say that if we needed to rush into jobs right now, we would honestly take anything that's available because that is what is needed. However, some companies honestly have longer application processes, and some companies just don't have a start date that is immediate, but they know they need someone. And in those situations, he could actually consider those jobs because we at least have the money to pay those months of expenses while those application processes are moving forward. That is a type of freedom that only comes with being prepared or honestly being independently wealthy, seeing as I'm not the latter, I had to prepare. I put together a course called Abundance in a Budget to help you get into the mindset for budgeting to create habits that support the life and the goals that you have. I share a lot on this YouTube channel, and I created the course for those of you who are looking perhaps for one-on-one help with your budget and making those changes in your mindset to help you move forward. This includes providing a simple framework for budgeting, being a mindful consumer, and prioritizing the goals you have for your life instead of falling victim to the impulses that we all have from day to day. The link for that is in the description box below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can get updated on how we move through this time of our lives and plan for short-term and long-term goals. I make videos every week on personal finance and how to live a simple and mindful life. Also, be sure to give this video a like and leave me a comment letting me know how you handle emergency funds in your life. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, remember to make the decisions that support the life you want. Bye for now.